Rhythm and intonation in English and Spanish. Welcome, this is my third video. Remember that in the first video I talked about vowel sounds, in the second one about consonant sounds, and finally in this one I'm going to refer to rhythm and intonation in English and Spanish languages. Rhythm. It could be defined as the musicality of the language. Some people think that getting a good rhythm of the language means speaking faster and louder. But the real meaning is to speak correctly. I mean, by stressing and pronouncing words in a correct way. In Spanish words, all the syllables are pronounced with the same time. They are not reduced or elongated syllables. All of them are equal in duration. But in English, the words could be reduced or elongated depending if they are stressed or not. For example, in Spanish you say, me gustaría ir a la fiesta. In English, I would like to go to the party. Yo quiero ser tu mejor amigo. Yo quiero ser tu mejor amigo. I want to be your best friend. I want to be your best friend. Thus, Spanish is a syllable time language. That means the number of syllables determines the length of time to say something. In contrast, English is a stressed time language because the time it takes to say something in English depends on the number of stressed syllables or words, not on the number of syllables. Understanding the rhythm of the language means studying two important aspects, stress and intonation. But what is stress? Stress means the emphasis when making syllables or words to make them higher and longer in pitch. Syllable stress in words. In every word, there is a stressed syllable. It means there is a part of the word which receives more emphasis. In English, the stress is on the syllables, but in Spanish, the stress is on the vowels there. Besides, the stress is called accent. By that reason, some Spanish speakers confuse the word accent with the word stress. Another difference between these languages is that in Spanish, the graphic stress, tilde, is used to mark the stress in most of the words. But in English, there is not a mark or a signal that shows where the emphasis is made. In English, this aspect is learned through the practice. For example, Spanish, comunicación. English, communication. In both languages, the stressed syllable or vowel could change the meaning or the category of the word. For example, in English, project is the noun and project is the verb. In Spanish, proyecto is the noun or is the verb in present tense for the first person, or proyectó is the verb in past tense. Word stress in sentences. Referring to this part, it is important to clarify that in Spanish language the syllable is charged to give the rhythm of the sentence, because every single syllable has the same time. Then, there is not a word which is more emphasized than another. For example, yo tengo que ir a la escuela mañana. We don't omit any word. On the other hand, English speakers stress content words in sentences. They are verbs, nouns, adjectives, and adverbs. As you can notice, these are the words which give the meaning to the phrase or sentence. You can understand the phrase only by listening them. For example, the kids commonly omit the function words like articles and conjunctions. That's the reason why they say want cookie instead of I want a cookie. However, we understand what they want to say without those words. Conversely, the function words are weak or reduced. Articles, pronouns, possessives, preposition, auxiliary verbs, and conjunctions. Consequently, in English you say, I have to go to the party. The content words have, go, and school are stressed or emphasized, but the pronoun I and the preposition to are not. Then you do not say, I have to go to the party, but I have to go to the party. This pattern of strong and weak stress and short and long pronunciation gives English its rhythm. The intonation. It is defined as the pitch, pattern, or melody in a phrase or sentence. Is the variation or pitch, the rising and falling of the voice when speaking. Consequently, it is the English intonation that makes English sound really English. It refers also to the intention or expression of feelings at the moment of saying the word. Then, intonation is used to focus the listener on what is relevant in the message. Besides, different pitches may indicate different meanings for the same utterance. Different pitches help to express the feelings, happiness, sadness, surprise, annoyance, anger, and so on. It does not refer to what we say, but how we say it. However, these two aspects are really important in the communication because the how and what together give us the meaning of an English utterance. For example, mi papá está cocinando. Mi papá está cocinando. My father is cooking. My father is cooking. The intonation has to agree with the words we say. Nevertheless, we may send messages with intonation that contradicts our words. In this case, it could sound sarcastic, confused, or ironic. In English and Spanish, there are two basic types of intonation: the falling and rising intonation. Falling intonation in English. What is it? It is a pattern in which the voice falls to a low pitch by the end of a statement. It includes declarative phrases, questions that begin with words like how, what, when, and commands. For example, in English we have, she is 10 years old. When did you call him? Close your books and listen. The following intonation in Spanish is the same. ¿Cómo está? ¿Quiénes son? ¿Cuánto cuesta? ¿Para dónde van? The rising intonation. It is a pattern in which the voice rises to a high pitch by the end of a statement. Rising intonation is used in general questions, in introductory phrases, in the first part of an alternative questions, in the second part of attack questions, and in enumerating items in a list. For example, in English we have, are you ready to start? Would you like an apple or a pear? She bought bread, cheese, and tomato. In Spanish, the rising pattern is the other group of questions, generally the yes-no questions. ¿Ya se va? ¿Comieron ya? ¿Le gustó María? ¿Le paso la leche? The intonation in Spanish is similar to English. Statements are flat or down in their intonation, whereas questions rise up at the end. Moreover, it is clear how the intonation could show the doubt or security about a statement. For example, change is difficult. Is change difficult? Change is difficult, isn't it? Change is difficult, isn't it? To conclude, it is relevant to highlight intonation, stress, and rhythm as some relevant aspects of learning and speaking the language the more natural possible. If we stress and intone in a correct way, we can acquire the real rhythm of the language. In Spanish, pitch does not vary as it does in English. Therefore, a student whose primary language is Spanish may sound monotone when speaking English. Otherwise, English speakers most of the time try to reduce some words. That's it, and thank you so much for watching all my videos. Good luck!